Hello, good evening. You're on to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live, brought to you by 3T Impest Trade Academy. My name is Dele Ayimibo. We started a new series this morning, and that we call the Emerging Support Services for Trade Customers. Emerging Support Services for Trade Customers. And this series is designed for entrepreneurs who are looking for services, who want to render services to trade customers, or who are consultants and don't mind acquiring skill to be able to serve importers and exporters in Nigeria who probably are having challenges with some of their transactions. And for bankers, that's employee now, who need to raise income and deposit for their banks in order to be able to meet their target. Those are the people we are targeting in this series. For entrepreneurs who render services or looking to acquire trade skill to render services to exporters and importers, and for employees of banks who are marketers who have income and deposit target. Adeshinwa Adewale, thank you very much for joining. Good evening and welcome. So in the morning we talked about a number of things. We talked about the type of worker. We talked about career ladder. We talked about the essence of work and defining what work should be. We talked about teachability index. We talked about net worth. And then we ended up talking about the potentials of trade customers and who the trade customers are, who the potential import or export customers are. And this evening we continue. And this time around we'll be looking at the potential income line and potential deposit sources for a trade customer. Potential income line and potential sources of deposits. So if I'm a banker and I'm marketing a trade customer, for example, if I'm marketing an export customer, what are the sources of deposit that I should be targeting? And if it's an export customer also, what are the sources of deposit that I should be targeting? Remember, is emerging support services for trade customer. And what we have said is the fact that an individual can render support services to trade customers as a consultant, and an individual can render support service to trade customer as a staff of a bank, depending on what you are trying to achieve within that space. We need to grow trade. A lot of the trade people have a lot of challenges understanding some of the issues they have and how to fix some of those issues. Let me give an example. A typical importer in Nigeria have a challenge with demurrage. By the way, demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while the container is the custody of shipping line. As far as the importer is concerned, paying demurrage is an article of faith, is non-negotiable, is sure banker, it cannot be avoided. Whereas paying demurrage in some other organization, multinational, is a taboo. If they hire you as import manager, you pay demurrage, you might have to repay it with your salary. Because it can be avoided really. But a typical SMEs, corporates, fairly large companies really do not understand how to fix that particular problem. So those are some of the issues that a consultant can begin to fix for import customer and export customer, which is why I'm talking about the fact that if you render services to businesses as a consultant, you can actually begin to consider rendering service to importer and exporter in your own location, in your state, wherever it is you are, solving peculiar challenges they have. With this session we are having, and if you're a banker, you have targets, income target, deposit target. If you are able to also render these support services to them, then of course you're able to attract them to do business with your bank. Potential deposit channel of export customer, from export customer. If you are looking at export customer, you'll be looking at the fund is using for raw materials, can pass through you as a bank. The fund for labor and production. The fund for clearing and forwarding and logistics. And of course, the FX, export proceed, which help your foreign exchange liquidity. The export proceed. The export proceed. So the export proceed are coming, helping your foreign exchange liquidity. The clearing and forwarding funds for the exporter. The cost of labor and production or procurement, and of course the raw material is using. All these are source of funding that can be passed through your bank if you're a banker and you're trying to get a trade customer. Now, how about the income from the exporter? If the fund coming to you, that's a float income. Then you can have interest income if you are giving them a loan. You can charge them fee, NSP charge, and of course, account maintenance charge or COT charge on that account. All these are sources of income for you if you are trying to get this into your book as a banker. Sources of income for you if you are trying to get them into your book as a banker. Then let's look at the importer. Potential source of deposit for importer or for the importer. Local sales fund. Labor and production. Local sales fund. Then the fund for labor and production. Then the fund for clearing and forwarding. The fund for duty payment. And of course, because it's an importer, it's going to need fund to be able to purchase foreign exchange, to be able to pay his supplier abroad in future. So the FX purchase fund. The FX purchase fund. These are all source of deposit or source of deposit for a banker trying to get deposit, meet his own deposit target. Then on the part of the income for importer, float income, interest income. Float income, that's the income you earn by virtue of having that fund with you, sitting down with you. Interest income if you are giving him a loan. Form M charges, account maintenance charge or COT charge. And of course, if he's using letter of credit or bill for collection, you also charge them in handling their letter of credit and bill for collection transaction. Now, having mentioned to you now the sources of income, the sources of deposit, why do you really need to meet these people? I've talked about that in the morning, the potential opportunity you have, either as a consultant to earn income from them or as a banker to be able to meet your own income and deposit target for your own organization. So what is it that you will need to do for these people? Because you must be solving a problem for them. It's very important for you to know, if you're a marketer or a salesperson, that sales involve exchange of value. Marketing and sales involve exchange of value. If you are not giving something, you cannot get anything. If you are not giving something, you cannot get anything. Going around to beg people for deposit is dehumanizing. It's not something I think any banker should do. All you need to do is to train your mind, develop your brain, and acquire skill to solve problems for people. Look at this trend. Number one, you learn. Learn. Through learning, you acquire skill. For you to learn, you do training or certification. With training or certification, you are able to learn. With learning, you acquire skill. With skill, you build competence. With competence, you solve problems. With solving problems, you create value. And upon creation of value, you attract wealth. I'll go over that again. For you to get something from a customer, you want to get something from a customer, you want to be able to benefit from them, you need value from them. You need them to give you that service as a consultant to solve to render service to them. As a banker, to be able to get deposit from them. Number one, you must learn to training and certification. Through training and certification, you are able to acquire skills. So level one, train, educate yourself, self-education, educate yourself, educate yourself. Educate yourself. It's a disservice to yourself when you're not educating your mind. If a whole year go or pass by and there's nothing you have added to yourself, to your CV, either as an employee or as an entrepreneur, you're not doing yourself any good at all. We are a learning machine as human. We only get better with learning. We only get better with learning. We only get better with learning. So you must keep learning. If you fail to learn, then you will not help yourself. You must learn. When you go for training or you do certification, you learn. Through learning, you acquire skill. With skill, you build competence. Skill, I can do it. Competence, I have done it. With competence, you can solve problems. When you solve problems, you create value. When you create value, you attract wealth. So as a consultant, when you are able to train yourself and begin to solve problems for importer and exporter, you attract purchasing power from them. As a banker, if you begin to train yourself and solve their problem, you attract the deposit and income from them. So you need credibility, competence, and character all together to be able to attract from this customer the value you want to attract from them. Credibility, consistency of result, competence, consistency of performance, and character, consistency of conduct. So remember, there must be exchange of value. To meet your deposit target, to meet your income target, always think of how you can exchange value. What can you give this customer? What can you do for this trade customer to be able to get that deposit from him? And I'm saying, begin to think of trade customer. I don't know when many people are not thinking of this. A lot of people that have huge trade customer are able to easily meet their target because trade customer push a lot of volume. Imagine export that left Nigeria last year, of 2017, over 40 billion. Export proceeds that came into Nigeria and forex that were paid for import, about 28 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And those are the things you want to target. Those are the things you want to target. Why? Because when you target them, you are able to meet your own objective as a banker. And like I said, you can begin to develop skill in this area as a consultant to be able to fix some of these problems. So I will go through some of the problems and I'll try to highlight some of the issues around this problem and then try to give an insight into how they can be fixed. How they can be fixed. Now, a typical exporter have a challenge with product. He has a challenge with pricing. He has a challenge with payment. He has a challenge with purchasers. He has a challenge with paperwork. Product, pricing, purchaser, paperwork. Product, pricing, purchaser, paperwork. Products, pricing, payment. Purchaser, paperwork. We've called this the 5 P's of export business challenges. The 5 P's of export business challenges. So if you want to render service to these people as a consultant, you can render export product information service. Adebayo Ogbenga, thank you very much for joining. Good evening and welcome. You can render export product information service to fix the product problem. You can render export pricing information service to fix the pricing problem. You can render export finance product to fix the payment problem. You can render export contract information service to fix the contract problem, the purchaser problem. And you can render export documentation service to fix the paperwork problem. What am I saying in essence? I'm saying that for anyone who is looking at new area of diversification and is a service-oriented person trying to look for how to render services to businesses that have challenges, and I'm saying you can render those services to importers and exporters. And what you need to first do is to identify the challenges they have. And upon identification of these challenges they have, you can then begin to find it easier to solve the problem. But you must first identify the problem, the challenges they have. They have huge challenges, big problem. For the exporter, product. So you want to render export product information service. What are the items that can be exported from Nigeria? As simple as that is, just before I started this Facebook Live, I received a call. And that call was someone who wanted to export. And he was trying to tell me, ask me about the product that you can export. You'll be amazed at the fact that as mundane as it could look, that product is a challenge for people to know how to export. Which product can be exported? What are the exportable products, first of all? What are the prohibited items, first of all? Where can the product be sourced from? At what price can you get this product? Where can the product be sourced from? What are the quality issues around the product? What are the challenges around the product? How can this be resolved? So meaning you now have to do research about products, exported products from Nigeria, and then be able to inform your client about it. Assist your client about it. And if you're a banker, you know, I believe strongly if trade is going to grow in Nigeria, especially export, banks are going to contribute significantly. This is what I mean. We are trade consultants, but we really do not have access to a lot of traders in Nigeria because they're scattered all over Nigeria. But the banks have access to them. Another thing the banks is, there are companies in Nigeria that have amazing potential for export. But because Comfort and convenience were the basis for starting the business in the first place. They are making money, they are comfortable, they are doing very well. They are not thinking of anything outside their environment. Even when recession happens, they are not thinking of export. If you are a banker and you have such customer and you are the account officer of those customer, you can then begin to advise them. And what service are you rendering? Export Product Information Service. Export Product Information Service. Export Product Information Service. That is the service you want to render to them. To be able to advise them on the potential of the product they have for export, and be able to tell them who are those that can buy this product, which country are they located, at what price are they likely going to be able to buy this product, what are the quality issues around this product. All these questions are the questions you want to help an exporter to answer. Export Product Information Service. Export Product Information Service. The next one is pricing. Pricing. Export Pricing Information Service. Pricing. Export Pricing Information Service. Export Pricing Information Service. Export Pricing Information Service. How do they determine price? If you have listened to the last session we have on export costing and pricing, you are almost becoming a consultant to solve that problem for exporter wherever you are in Nigeria. All you need to do is go and get the series from volume 1, from part 1 to part 11. From part 1 to part 11. Get all that you need, all of them, part 1 to part 11. And with that, it makes you find it a lot easier to be able to have a good understanding. And then you can then do a little more reading. And then you are on your way to solving the pricing problem. You are on your way to solving the pricing problem for your customers. You are on your way to solving that pricing problem for your customers. Number 3, payment, export finance product. Now, when banks want to solve problem for customer, when they are trying to do anything for exporter, the only thing they think about is finance. And I tell them, there are people who want to go into this space, they don't need funding from you. They need the how. The how. The know-how is more important. They don't need your capital. They already have enough capital to do the business, but they need the how. Like the manufacturer that I told you about, who already have products that have potential for export, but is not thinking of export. What does it need? The how. That's what that person needs. The how. That's all. The how. How do I go about it? That's what is important. How do I start? That's what is important. How do I progress with this? That's what is important. The how. The how. The how. The how. How do we go about this? How do we fix this? The how. Export Pricing Information Service. I won't spend more time on that because I've spent the last almost a week in 11 episodes discussing export costing and pricing. And with that, it becomes easier for you to fix that problem for the customer. The next one is, sorry, I was talking about the payment actually before we jump to this payment, and the fact that the bank is focusing on payment, and the fact that they don't need funding. They need the how to go about it. And then I talked about pricing, and the fact that for pricing, you basically go and listen to the previous edition we just finished, and then you fix that. Purchasers. One of the things we are going to be discussing very soon, maybe after we do paperwork, we're going to be doing document. After this session, maybe before the end of the week, we'll probably be doing paperwork. Then after the paperwork, then we'll do purchasers. Now, basically what I'm saying is that if you're listening to me and you really are thinking in this direction, like I said, you pretty much have the solution. You pretty much have the solution. Purchasers, Export Contract Information Service, Export Contract Information Service, and paperwork, Export Documentation Service. How do you acquire this skill? Personal development, training, and practice. 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 Developing yourself. And how do you do personal development? Certification programs. Certification programs. And I'll be talking about some of those certification programs maybe tomorrow morning. Some of the basic challenges that an importer also face include number one, are caused by these challenges. Now look at the issues. What majorly lead to these challenges that they face? You know, I've talked about the fact that they have issue with product pricing, purchasing, and paperwork. Let me look at the challenges on the import side. Then I will now tell you what caused them. What are the major challenge issues that cause this problem for the people? This one, we have the discrepancy, we have demurrage, we have detention, we have damages, and then we have delays. Delays. Number one, discrepancy. Discrepancy. It's so interesting how discrepancy can destroy trade transaction. It's so interesting. How discrepancy can cause delays, how it can be not that how it can be. Discrepancy is actually a menace for many people. Great menace for many people. Great threat. Why? Why is discrepancy a major challenge for many? It's a major challenge for many because of inability to understand document examination. Inability to understand document examination. How do we examine documents? How do we examine documents? Inability to understand document examination is a major challenge that is causing discrepancy. What's a discrepancy? Discrepancy is basically saying there is a terms and condition already spelled out in the agreement you have with a buyer. This terms and condition already spelled out for you. You now present a document under a letter of credit transaction that have information that are contrary to the terms and conditions you already agreed. Terms and conditions already agreed. Discrepancy in document. That means the document you presented is not in line with the agreed terms and conditions for shipment. Demurrage, I've defined that before. Demurrage and detention are the fee paid for usage of container beyond the free period. And there are a lot of ways to prevent this from happening. Then damages. Damages that, one of the basic ways to help you with damages is insurance. Insurance. By just doing insurance, you can simply fix damages issue. So at the end of the day, even though you can prevent it, but one of the things you can do to be able to minimize the issue of damages is just basically doing insurance. Then delays. There are different kinds of delays. Document-induced delay, buyer-induced delay, loading-induced delay, shipping line-induced delay. There are different kinds of delays. And then, of course, that the customer must be, the consumer must be able to, or the bank or banker who want to raise the money from these people must be able to provide solution to this. So the question is, how do you provide solution to this? Because all these challenges are caused by inexperienced importers and exporters, incompetent account officers, inadequate monitoring, imprecise sales terms, incompetent forwarder, inefficient shipping line, incomplete documentation, insufficient tenure facility, incomprehensible financing terms, incorrect data on document, incapable clearing agent, and of course ineffective risk mitigant. These are all issues that lead to the debt, the losses, the challenges that these customers face. So the question is, how then can you help them fix it? Like I said, we have some videos already that are already available for you to be able to fix this problem for the customers. But more importantly, is the fact that you can consider our trade certification programs. We actually have a couple of trade certification programs from the American Institute of Extended Studies. Now, these certification programs are such that they are to empower whoever it is that want to render a support services to the exporters, to the importers. Not just rendering support services to them, also individuals who want to ensure that he take up this as a service, not just for bankers. For the bankers, you are raising deposit and income. For a consultant who wants to begin to render some services, we are in Lagos, you might be in Port Harcourt, you might be in Ondo State, you might be in Oyo State, you might be in Kano State, you might be in Jigawa State, you might be in any state, and you want to begin to market the importer and exporter in that state and helping them to fix their issues. And I tell you, it can be done. It can be done. With the fact that people have not thought of it, even though we have over 60,000 companies in this space in Nigeria, does not mean it cannot be done. Even though we're doing it here in Lagos, but of course we can't reach out to a lot of people outside Lagos. But a lot of people outside Lagos can reach out to those people in their own state, and they can acquire skill to fix those problems. So tomorrow morning, we're going to be discussing in detail the skills, the training certification, the trade certification, and I'll be talking about them one by one, different certification program that you can consider to be able to fix problem of importers and exporters and contribute your own quota to the growth of trade in Nigerian business. Thank you very much for listening to me again today. My name is Mendele Ayimibo, and this is Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3D Trade Academy. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow morning.